Cool summer weather isn't scaring many people away. Data showing the city of Buckeye earning the title as the fastest growing city in the entire nation. It's grown 80% in the past decade, and that doesn't include growth from the past year and a half. But how is all that growth impacting our state's wildlife? Team 12's Tricia Hendricks joining us live from Skyline Regional Park in Buckeye this morning with more info on that and more. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, it doesn't happen intentionally per se, but it is inevitable that we see more development happening, especially in places like this, where it's only 10% built out. It is definitely going to have an impact on the desert wildlife in and around the area, specifically Buckeye, Goodyear, places like this that are projected to see even more exponential growth over the next decade. So joining us live this morning is Adam Copeland. You're the lead planner for Buckeye. Good morning.
Good morning.
So talk about how you're already talking with planners right from the get-go to make sure that wildlife conservation is at the front of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. We have about 26 master plan communities that are here in Buckeye, and some of them are the size of small cities. We have one project that's the size of the city of Avondale, and we have 26 of those. And so what we do is we meet with each of those master plan community owners on a quarterly basis, and we get on the ground level early on to try to work with them to help preserve some of these wildlife corridors throughout Buckeye as they start to master plan. You'll see a lot of construction in Buckeye over the next 10 years, and with a lot of that construction comes a lot of coordination and responsibility on our part to make sure development moves forward in a way that's compatible with the environment and meets our goals and policies.
And just in this area alone, mule deer, javelina, bobcats, I mean, there's so many amazing, really creatures to see here in this area in particular, but all throughout the West Valley that you want to make sure are not pushed out too far.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are, we call them our friends. You know, I actually had a bobcat in my backyard the other day, and it was very friendly. But we want to make sure, you know, as these animals come through the neighborhoods, they have places to go for refuge. And so we have a lot of these desert washes out here that we want to incorporate into neighborhoods to allow wildlife to move through. But it's also an amenity for residents, and we think it actually will increase property values while at the same time protecting wildlife.
It is a fine balance, no doubt, I'm sure. You have a big job. And talk about the best practices guide that you guys recently adopted.
Yeah, so it's very unique in the West Valley, but the city adopted a Wildlife Corridors Best Practice Guide with partnerships with the White Tanks Mountains Conservancy, who's a great partner, State Lands, Arizona Game and Fish, who just spoke earlier, as well as the Flood Control District. But that is the first step in setting the foundation for the future and providing tools for staff, for our council members and our constituents in the city to be able to meet with the developer and know what we're talking about. They tell you what we should do with washes, how we should landscape, and how wide some of these corridors need to be as we move forward with new development in the city.
All right. Thank you so much, Adam. Coming up in the 6 o'clock hour, we have more on the challenges that are upon developers. Of course, we're talking about incorporating wildlife crossings and corridors. That costs money. So we're talking about how funding plays into all of this. Definitely a balancing act. Live in Buckeye, Tricia Hendricks, Today in AZ.